Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we are tackling something that has probably tripped every single one of us up at some point. You know that deeply frustrating feeling, right? You've been working incredibly hard, eating right, hitting the gym, only to step on the bathroom scale and just feel totally defeated by the numbers staring back at you. Well, as we dive into the science today, we're going to look at a massive paradigm shift. It turns out there is a giant difference between weight loss and fat loss. And yeah, I know they sound like the exact same thing, and honestly, most people treat them like the exact same thing. But they are completely different animals. Once you really grasp this, it's going to completely change how you approach your training, your body, and the whole shebang.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We're going to start by uncovering the scale's blind spot. Then we'll define the vital difference between weight loss and fat loss. After that, we'll hit the exact fat loss formula, bust a few common myths, answer the crazy biological mystery of where fat actually goes when you lose it, and finally, look at how to track your true progress.
All right, Section 1, the scale's blind spot. What is the number really telling you?
So let's start with a really basic but super fundamental question. When you actually step onto that piece of plastic or glass in your bathroom, what is it actually measuring?
Well, total body weight includes a whole bunch of things. It's your water retention, your bone density, your muscle mass, your stored fat, and hey, even the literal contents of your digestive system at that exact moment. It's all of it lumped together. So when that number on the scale goes down, literally all it tells you is that the total amount of stuff in your body is lower. It absolutely does not tell you what specific tissue you just lost. And honestly, that is the most crucial thing you need to hold on to as we go through this.
Moving to Section 2, weight loss versus fat loss, understanding the vital difference. See, weight loss is just a reduction in total mass, period. When you jump on a crash diet or slash your calories super aggressively, your body totally panics. It doesn't just burn stored fat, it actually breaks down your highly valuable metabolically active muscle tissue for fuel. So yeah, you might get lighter, but you end up softer, weaker, and with a significantly slower metabolism. Because remember, muscle burns calories just by existing. Fat loss, on the flip side, is what we actually want. This is the specific reduction of stored adipose tissue, which is just a fancy word for body fat, while actively preserving all that muscle you've worked so hard to build.
Which brings us to Section 3, the fat loss formula. How to do it right according to science.
So if we want fat loss and not just weight loss, we need to understand the three levers we actually have to pull. Research consistently points to these three evidence-based pillars: maintaining a moderate calorie deficit, keeping a high protein intake, and hitting the resistance training. Let's break these down one by one.
First up, the calorie deficit. Look, to lose fat, you obviously have to burn more energy than you take in. But the magic number here, according to the science, is a moderate deficit of just 300 to 500 calories per day below your maintenance level. That's it. If you try to cut, say, 1,000 or 1,500 calories, like we talked about earlier, your body hits the panic button, your energy absolutely crashes, and you start burning through muscle. Staying in that sweet spot of 300 to 500 keeps the whole process sustainable and protects your gains.
Next, we've got the numbers 1.2 to 2.2. This is your target range for protein, in grams per kilogram of body weight. Now, for the average adult just going about their day, the baseline recommendation is usually around 0.8 grams. But during a fat loss phase, you need meaningfully more than that. Hitting this higher 1.2 to 2.2 range literally signals your body to hold onto that muscle tissue instead of breaking it down for quick energy. Plus, as a nice bonus, protein keeps you feeling full, which makes that calorie deficit feel, a whole lot less miserable.
All right, let's look at our third pillar. And there's a really interesting mindset shift here when it comes to cardio. Don't get me wrong, cardio is fantastic. Getting in about 150 minutes of moderate aerobic stuff a week is great for your heart, burns calories, and shifts your body to use fat for fuel. But resistance training? That is the mandatory signal your body needs. When you lift heavy things while eating in a calorie deficit, you are literally shouting at your body, hey, I actually use this muscle, we need to keep it. The data shows people who combine lifting with a deficit hold on to significantly more muscle than those who just restrict calories.
Moving right along to Section 4, busting common myths. Spot reduction in extreme diets.
Okay, we have to talk about this because it's probably the most common question in the fitness world. Can you spot reduce belly fat? Like, can you just hammer out 1,000 crunches every morning to magically melt away the midsection?
The hard scientific answer is nope, not going to happen. Research just does not support spot reduction at all. You cannot pick and choose the zip code where your body burns fat. Fat reduction happens globally across your entire body, and it's totally dictated by your personal genetics and overall energy balance. So instead of torturing yourself with extreme fad diets or obsessive target exercises, the absolute most effective approach is building your diet around whole, unprocessed foods. We're talking veggies, lean proteins, healthy fats. Doing that naturally shifts your baseline without making you aggressively restrict, because let's be real, extreme restriction almost always just leads to rebound weight gain anyway.
Let's get into Section 5. Where does fat go? The fascinating biology of fat loss.
Seriously, I want you to think about this for a second, because it's wild. When you step on the scale and you've lost actual physical body fat, where did that mass go? Did it burn up into heat? Did it just sort of vanish into the ether?
The answer is absolutely mind-blowing. Stored fat is mostly made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So when your body metabolizes it, those molecules get broken down. A little bit turns into water, which leaves your body through sweat and urine, sure. But the vast majority of it, it gets converted into carbon dioxide. Yes, you literally breathe it out. Now, before you try it, hyperventilating on the couch does not count as a workout. But when you actually exercise and increase your oxygen intake, you are actively speeding up the biological process of exhaling your metabolized fat. I mean, how cool is that?
All right, final section, Section 6, tracking true progress, redefining your success metrics.
Here's the thing. If you're doing this right, losing fat but maintaining or even building muscle, that number on the scale might not budge for weeks. It can be incredibly frustrating, but behind the scenes, your body composition is changing dramatically. This is why we need better data. Start tracking your body measurements, specifically your waist and hips. Take consistent progress photos in the exact same lighting. Pay close attention to how your clothes are fitting. Notice if your strength is going up in the gym, and keep an eye on your daily energy levels. These are the honest, reliable indicators that a true physical transformation is actually happening.
And we can't forget that so much of this progress is driven by what happens outside the gym. Getting your 7 to 9 hours of sleep is absolutely crucial because it regulates your appetite hormones and keeps your fat metabolism running normally. Consistent hydration supports all those bodily processes. And look, we have to be honest about alcohol. It adds all these hidden calories that can literally erase a 300 to 500 calorie deficit in a couple of drinks. Finally, just ramping up your everyday movement, taking the stairs, pacing while on the phone, going for walks. It adds up to a massive amount of energy burned over time without even feeling like a real workout.
So it all really boils down to this. Weight loss and fat loss are not the same journey. Chasing a random number on the scale is just such a narrow goal. Building a leaner, stronger body through sustainable habits, yeah, it takes a little longer. It requires a bit more nuance. But it is the ultimate reward because it actually changes how you feel, how you function, and how you live your life.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to ditch the obsession with the bathroom scale and start focusing on what actually matters, building a stronger, healthier, more vibrant body? Take these science-backed tools, apply them to your daily life, and start measuring your true progress. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I can't wait to see you next time.